The Ravin R29X, also known in the Death by Bunjie scheme of things as the Black Widow. Finally back in my hands. Black Widow is actually a good name for this. It was suggested by a friend of Bunjie, and I gotta give him credit. That's what this is. It's gonna be a soul-sucking piece of crossbow paraphernalia. We'll see about that, right? This was an experiment when I bought it. I kind of bought it on a whim. It was a good deal this summer that came up. It was never intended to be my primary hunting crossbow this year. So the fact that I'm not hunting with it does not break my heart at all, okay? It's here for experimentation. It's here so I can learn about those ultra-modern speeds, 450 feet per second and above. So that's its role right now in the Death by Bunjie family of crossbows. Down the road, does it turn into my primary hunting weapon? Does it turn into my one gun? We shall see. For right now, you can see it's got no scope on it. Got no scope. Can't go hunting without a scope. Eventually, it'll have a Burris on here because I just got it back. Right now, though, I'm making this video end of September, and I'm already hunting, so I don't have time to go playing in the backyard with this crossbow. It had its chance, right? Its chance to be played with in the backyard has since passed. That will come again after I have filled all my tags and completed all my hunting videos and enjoyed all the woods and the deer seasons and all that good stuff with my crossbow and called it good for the season. Then we'll go back to playing with this. In the meantime, I'm going to be researching arrows a little bit and maybe shoot it a little bit to see if I can get those nocks to work. You can go back and watch the video. Had a little mishap with this at my own hand. I 100% took responsibility for that mishap. Basically what happened was I used arrows that were not Ravin arrows. They were not arrows that the manufacturer recommended. I took a little bit of a risk, a calculated risk. I knew what I was doing, and I shot arrows that are really just not appropriate according to the manufacturer for this crossbow. 450 feet per second and above. There's a lot going on in here, okay? You pull that back, you know it, because as this string is drawn back and locks in place here, you can feel the tension on these limbs. And look at the preload on these limbs. This is the Black Widow right now today, uncocked, right? Uncocked. But look at it laying in the yard after the string blew off. There's a lot of preload on these limbs, a lot of tension, a lot going on here, and that is how you get higher speeds, right? There's limited ways that we can get these faster speeds, and that's one of the ways. These cams rotate and spin an awful lot once it's drawn back. When you pull that trigger, there's a lot going on all at once. That was too much for the Burnt Coyote Lumenok on those Lumen arrows. It actually pushed that nock into the shaft, broke the nock the whole bit. They are a Ravin style nock, a clip-on nock. You got to be real careful about nocks. And we don't talk about nocks nearly enough here on Death by Bunjie. Nocks are the butt of the arrow, and they take take all of that brute force and energy all at once. They're the first thing to receive the benefit of that inertia and start moving that arrow. You got to make sure you're using an approved nock. Once that string blew off, I had to have new limbs put on it, new cams, new string and cables, of course, and a new trigger box. It's all new. Everything is brand new. So it's the front end of this crossbow is basically essentially a brand new crossbow. It's like it's unfired. So hasn't even been sighted in, don't have a scope on it, haven't even shot it. One of the benefits of being a YouTuber, however, the Burnt Coyote Lumenok company saw my video, and we've kind of made a difference because they have recalled, maybe that's the wrong word, but they have essentially sent out a caution as to all users of the R29X to say, hey, don't be using the Lumen arrows on that crossbow. In the Facebook post, in their official press release, they refer to a video that was shared with them, information that was shared to them by a user. Yes, I am that crossbow user. Kind of embarrassed that I'm the guy that kind of ruined it, right? Or at least illuminated that issue. Get it? That's a pun. I actually have spoken with people from Burnt Coyote over the years multiple times because, as you know, I have a Burnt Coyote Lumenok coupon code you can use to get 15% off your Lumenok products. I still use it. In fact, I have used that coupon code myself since this incident happened with their arrows. So I'm still a strong supporter of the Burnt Coyote Lumenok company. Not only did they respond in a better safe than sorry sort of manner to make sure that their users of the Burt Coyote Lumenok get the best experience possible. They also offered to pay for the repairs to this crossbow. That is one of the benefits of being a YouTuber. So I basically am back to square one with the Black Widow. So thank you, Burt Coyote. I love the Burt Coyote Lumenok. It has nothing to do with them repairing my crossbow. It has everything to do with them over the last 15 years of me hunting with a crossbow, just me appreciating their products. If you look back, video after video after video on Death by Bunjie, going back to the very early days, and before Death by Bunjie, I was hunting with a Burt Coyote Lumenok. Will I be able to hunt with a Burt Coyote Lumenok on the Ravin R29X? I think the short answer is yes. I'm just going to have to get comfortable with and somehow figure out a way to work with those Ravin arrows with the pre-installed Burt Coyote Lumenok. Well, you've seen me hop from one crossbow to another. For this year, my primary hunting rig is the SWAT X1. You see before you the Enforcer. The SWAT X1 from Killer Instinct. I love this crossbow. The thin blue line grips, I installed those. I have a video coming on how, in fact, it'll be the next video I show you on specifically how I put these grips on. The Enforcer here, as you can see, does not have a scope on it. What's going on with that, Rich? How come no scope? Well, the reason that the scope is not on this crossbow is because I had a mishap in the backyard, and this crossbow is getting shipped back to Killer Instinct. Sound familiar? Been a rough one. Work all year on these crossbows. Everything's working perfect. You get ready to hunt and boom, everything falls apart. Like, you just got to be able to roll with the punches. And that's what this video is about. You're going to see more on that in this video and see how I'm going to fix this so I don't have this problem in the future. The Enforcer here is a pretty solid crossbow. I love this thing. I've had issues with it. You have to watch your strings and cables. Look for fuzzing around in here, for example, over in here. You make sure you're looking at that stuff. I'll do more videos on that as it goes forward. They all got their little issues that you have to look out for. Similar to that, people have complained about the triggers on SWAT X1s, right? They make this jangly sort of sound, and if you shake it, some of them are worse than others. And I will say that the trigger itself, when I pull the trigger, boom, I love that feel. The feel of this trigger is perfect. These are smooth shooting crossbows. I love them to death. After the Ravin string blew up, though, and I had that issue, I'm a little gun shy, right? A little nervous when I'm shooting the crossbow in the backyard, unfortunately, because I was so comfortable with this last year, and going into the season, I would have been so comfortable had I not touched the Black Widow, right? Had I not had the very loud volume, the explosiveness of that crossbow, combined with the string blowing off of it. You get those two things and add them together, and it makes me look at other crossbows and get a little nervous, right? A little uncomfortable with this. In the backyard, I am not going to go into great detail about it, but there was an anomaly with shooting this crossbow related to the trigger, and for that reason, it is going back to Killer Instinct. I've been in contact with them. I will do another video down the road about what the findings are, if there is in fact an issue with this crossbow, or is it all in my head because of the issues that I had with the Black Widow. I don't know. We're going to find out. But this is an abundance of caution situation. This is a better safe than sorry type of thing. I can confirm for you 100% that in speaking with the company, it is not something reported by other users of this crossbow. I can also tell you that on all of the forums and all of the Facebook pages that I follow, no one has complained of that same issue. So it might just be in my head. It might be an issue that's very serious, however, that's limited only to this particular example, this particular crossbow. And if that's the case, either way, I will report that to you down the road. In the meantime, what am I going to do to go hunting? Well, you have seen me in the woods in Maryland with the Patriot. Yeah, I do love this crossbow. I put the American flag grips on here, number one, because I'm an American. Number two, it's an election year, right? So we put the Patriot grips on here. Can't beat it. Do have the scope on this one. This one, what a beautiful crossbow this was. I want to thank Killer Instinct. They sent me this free of charge to make sure that I could go to Maryland and kill a big buck. And I let them down because I didn't kill a big buck. It's one of the benefits of being a YouTuber, I guess. They had my contact information and they reached out to me and made this offer. I did not seek it out. It's just, and I'm not going to turn it down. It's that simple. They sent me a crossbow so I could go back to Maryland for a second time with the SWAT X1. And it turns out it was the Patriot. Bunjie up there hanging on the wall. I love that crossbow. You know it. It is the basis for Death by Bunjie. That crossbow right there, I would not be talking to you in these videos, wouldn't be going to Maryland hunting these days had I not had such a great relationship with that crossbow over the years. But I gotta tell you, it is no longer my one gun. You saw that in the video. You actually didn't see all of it in the video. There was stuff I cut out of there. I was very, very disappointed. That crossbow is an old slow crossbow. You aren't going to be shooting 30 yards with the same success rate that you have with a faster crossbow. It's that simple, right? And I've done plenty of videos on that, and I'm not going to play games with my aiming and pretend that the deer's going to duck when you have no idea. I want my arrow there before the deer can move. 30 yards and under with a SWAT X1 gets it done, right? 350 feet per second and above, something with 0.7 slugs of momentum and above is going to get me a pass through on a deer, in my experience, case after case, deer after deer. And so I'm only going to hunt with that equipment going forward. I won't be hunting with that again. Exceptions for that are cases where I know my shots are going to be under 20 yards. Something like that, I might consider doing it, but that won't be my primary crossbow going forward. That's not my one gun anymore. Part of my one gun philosophy is recognizing differences in your gear. When something starts to go awry, you can kind of tell, right? If you're familiar with it. If I picked up this crossbow for the first time and something weird happened with it, I wouldn't know. If I didn't have a long history with it, going back past all the way through last season into last summer, I wouldn't know if there was something going wrong with it, right? Because I wouldn't have anything to compare it to. But when it is your one gun, when you are familiar with the SWAT X1, and time again you're pulling that trigger and recognizing a certain behavior from the crossbow, that's when you can tell when it starts to change. And that is the value of one gun. I just want to be clear on how much I appreciate Killer Instinct, though. It shows what a good company they are when they are reaching out to people. Same as Burt Coyote. When a company reaches out to someone because they see an issue, that's a good thing. By the way, I've never talked to anybody from Ravin. They're really busy with the rollout, though, from the R50. Oh, wait. They're not. They're really busy on the rollout for their 4-arrow quiver. Way to go, Ravin. Poor Ravin, man. 2 years ago, they fell apart with the R500, couldn't get that thing released. Remember that? It took an extra year to release the thing or whatever it was. They finally get it on the market, end up recalling it. Now they have a 505 feet per second or another faster crossbow. Scrap that for the time being. And they've got the R500 back on the market. And the best they can do this year is release a new quiver. I still like this crossbow, don't get me wrong. It is a pretty impressive piece of equipment. So now the SWAT X1 is my backup and my one gun all at once. I have two one guns. Now, I'm not just playing favorites against the Ravin here and saying, oh, this is so much better than a Ravin. I really do prefer this to the Ravin, 100%. There's no question about that. And it's not just me. Pretty much everybody who shoots a SWAT X1 wants a SWAT X1 or enjoys that, appreciates this crossbow. That's a fact. I mean, like I said, the first time I picked it up, I wanted one, and I knew that was a crossbow I was going to be shooting. I've had a couple of experiences shooting this in the backyard with friends of Bunjie who shoot other crossbows. And across the board, everybody was impressed with the fit and feel of this crossbow, the shooting, the smoothness of this crossbow. Even friend of Bunjie Jim from Backyard Broadheads, check out his stuff on his website. He's a longtime Ravin shooter, but he really was impressed with the smoothness of the X1 after he shot it.
That shoots smooth.
You like that?
I mean, there's hardly any kick.
Yeah. And that's a Ravin guy talking about the SWAT X1. So it's not just me. Have you ever noticed you never see the Patriot and the Enforcer at the same time? Kind of like Superman and Clark Kent. How do you know there's two of them? How's that? Is that better? Now you get to see all three of them at the same time. I like the SWAT X1 as my one gun so much that I now have three of them. Until next time, all hail Bunjie.